Vladimir Putin, the current president of Russia, he has wielded immense power and is willing to go to great lengths to maintain his hold on it. He has been described as a ruthless leader, willing to resort to extreme measures, including potentially orchestrating the murder of his own citizens, to remain at the helm of the Russian government. Putin's early life was marked by modest beginnings in a small apartment in what was then Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. Growing up in a working-class family in the Soviet Union, his life journey is a tale that would come to symbolize his ability to navigate difficult situations. At the age of 17, Putin expressed his desire to join the KGB. He enrolled in Leningrad State University to pursue a law degree, where he crossed paths with Anatoly Sobchak, an assistant professor specializing in business law. Their association would prove influential in shaping Putin's future. In 1975, Putin finally realized his aspiration and joined the KGB. After training at the 401st KGB school in Okhta, Leningrad, he worked in the 2nd Chief Directorate, focusing on counterintelligence operations, and later moved to the 1st Chief Directorate, where he monitored foreign officials in Leningrad. This role required not only tracking potential spies, but also conducting surveillance and identifying opportunities for blackmail or exploitation, honing his skill in reading people's true motives. Putin's abilities as an intelligence agent propelled him to the front lines of the Soviet intelligence war, stationed in East Germany from 1985 to 1990. During this time, he grew disillusioned with the state of the Soviet Union and developed a hardened attitude toward the West. Although few details are available about his activities, there have been claims that he had direct involvement in arming and coordinating with terrorist groups, such as the Red Army faction and neo-Nazi movements. In 1990, as the East German Communist government collapsed, Putin returned to Leningrad. He reconnected with Anatoly Sobchak, with their relationship evolving into a criminal partnership. As the 1991 coup against Mikhail Gorbachev unfolded, Putin resigned from the KGB, becoming head of the Committee for External Relations of the mayor's office in St. Petersburg, a position he got through his connection with Sobchak, who was the city's first democratically elected mayor. Corruption allegations soon arose, suggesting that Putin had connections with the criminal underworld. Investigations found that Putin had been involved in the exchange of $93 million worth of metals for food aid from the West, though the promised food supplies never materialized. Sobchak's corruption eventually led to his electoral defeat in 1996. As pressure mounted to arrest Sobchak on corruption charges, Putin helped Sobchak feign failing health to delay legal proceedings. Sobchak traveled to Paris for medical treatment and lived in exile, only returning to Russia after Putin had acquired sufficient power to influence authorities to drop the charges against him. All this caught the attention of then-President Boris Yeltsin, who was himself embroiled in numerous corruption scandals. Yeltsin needed a reliable figure to protect him from legal process, and Putin became that player. Witnessing Putin's loyalty to Sobchak, Yeltsin invited him to Moscow, and within 2 years, Putin was appointed as the Prime Minister of the Russian Federation. Yeltsin publicly expressed his desire for Putin to be his successor, despite Putin was an unknown figure at the time. In September 1999, that was a series of bombings struck Bayansk, Moscow, and Volgodovsk. These attacks, attributed to Chechen terrorists, claimed the lives of 300 innocent Russians and injured over 1,000 others, striking fear into the population, as the targets were apartment buildings, and anyone could be the next victim. As Russia's prime minister, Putin vowed vengeance on the perpetrators, and the Russian intelligence services quickly attributed the bombings to Chechen terrorists. Putin's strong stance and actions turned him into a national hero, virtually guaranteeing his path to the presidency. However, strong evidence suggests that the bombings were a Russian false flag operation. In the aftermath of the attacks, a suspicious explosive device was discovered in Ryazan, and 2 sacks with the car registered in Moscow, but with the license plate obscured. The sacks contained white powder with a professional-grade detonator and timing device. Putin's government denied involvement in the plot, but many investigations by both foreign and Russian intelligence agencies have some solid reason. Journalists and investigators who research on this incident often met untimely deaths or imprisonment. In 2003, US Senator John McCain raised concerns about Russia's Federal Security Service's potential involvement in the attacks. And former KGB officer Alexander Litvinenko publicly accused Putin of ordering the apartment building bombings. Litvinenko, in exile in London, was poisoned with a radioactive substance by Russian intelligence agents and died. Putin successfully leveraged his leadership and tough image to secure the presidency. Briefly stepping down from the presidency to become prime minister in 2008, he returned to power as president in 2012. In 2021, Putin signed a law expanding Russian presidential term limits, potentially allowing him to remain in power until 2036. He has maintained his grip on power by purging potential rivals, often with the assistance of organized crime figures, using intimidation, harassment. The reality is that he has manipulated the political landscape, eliminated opposition, and suppressed independent journalism to ensure his grip on Russia, making him one of the most powerful autocratic leaders in the world since Joseph Stalin.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments section.